Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this double-sided tree of life cabochon design. And this technique will easily work for plenty different sizes and shapes of stones. Now if you like any of the pendants featured in this tutorial, I do have them available for sale in my shop. Link straight to that will be in the description box down below. Otherwise, if you want to learn how you can make your own, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we're going to need. Now the wire I'm using is a regular round rose gold coated copper wire, and the gauge is a 0.4mm. You can of course use different gauges of wire depending on the look that you want and the size stone that you're using. Now the stone that I'm going to be demonstrating with is a 4x3cm purple dyed agate gemstone cabochon. But you can easily use this technique for many different sizes and shapes of stones. And then of course we need some findings, so I've got a chain to hang the pendant on, a lost or claw clasp and extended chain, and a few jump rings to put it all together. Then the pliers we'll need is of course some flush cutters so we can cut our wire, tweezing those pliers to manipulate the wire with, and 6-step bell making pliers for any loops we need to make. Now you can also of course use round nose pliers for this. You'll be able to find the whole material list and useful links in the description box down below. Otherwise let's get it all ready and let's get started. And then we need to cut some lengths of wire. So I have 12 lengths here of about 50 centimeters each. Now of course that will depend on the size of stone that you're using, so you can easily make them longer or shorter, and you can also use more or less wires. That's completely up to you. So I've just got all my wires here in a cluster, and I'm just making sure all the ends are nice and even. We then need to go in and find the midpoint, so you can always just measure that. So I'm at about the 25 centimeter mark here. Of course it might be different depending what lengths you're using. And then I'm holding them all together, and just a little bit to one side of the midpoint, I'm just going to grab onto all the wires and start twisting them together. So literally just twisting in the opposite direction. So we end up with a twist that's holding all the wires together, and that twist is just about 1 to 2 centimeters long for now. Then what I'm going to do is here on one end of the twist, that's where the midpoint is, all the wires are kind of still loose from each other. I'm going to move a little bit away from that, again 1 to 2 centimeters, so it all depends on the stone that you're using and how you want it to look. And then we need to leave a little section here that's not twisted. So I'm going to grab onto the wires just a bit further up the wire like that, and then start to twist the other end in the same direction as the other twist we did. So just making sure to twist all the wires together here. Again, just so we have 1 to 2 centimeters of twist. Then you can see we have an untwisted section between the two twisted sections that we just did. So just for reference, in my case here, the untwisted section in the middle is about 2 centimeters long. What we then need to do is start shaping this. So where the untwisted section is, in the middle of that, you can just kind of put a bit of a bend into it. Just use your finger like this. And we can then also start to grab our cabochon. So that is actually going to be sitting in that bend that we're making now. And this is going to be the bottom of the tree. So all these wires that we have in this untwisted section, they're going to actually be the roots of the tree. So if you can imagine something a bit like that. And then the twisted sections on either side are going to be the trunk of the tree. But obviously we need to continue and make all the branches as well, and actually also capture the cabochon. So the first thing I like to do is just deal with the roots down here, because obviously as you can see it's still very fiddly to hold on to because nothing's fastened yet. So in order to also make sure we capture the cabochon all the way around, the roots are going to be used to capture around the bottom part of the cabochon. So I'm just going to start separating these wires out and basically turn them into more of the roots. So just do one at a time, separate them out from each other, and kind of have them going all the way along the bottom part of the stone. So you can see it looks a little something like that, and it's on both sides as well. Now it might look a bit messy, don't worry about that, we're going to keep working with it. But then from here, what we're going to do is start to work with the branches. So you can always remove the cabochon because it's pretty fiddly to hold on to anyway. Now we have the twist going all the way up, and that's the trunk. What we need to do is basically start separating out some of the wires. So also that can mean undoing a bit of the twist, or just taking 1 or 2 wires here and there and twisting them further down, basically to the point where you want the branches to be. So I like to kind of start from the bottom and work my way up, and then also using the stone as a reference. So obviously that'll give me a picture of how it's going to end up looking. So first off, I want to judge where I want the first branch to be. So if I've got this wire singled out, just check if I want it coming over on this side. And then you can just continue bringing your wires down, kind of untwisting them. Have them come out to different sides. And also don't worry about how they look yet, just kind of get them into the position you want them to be in. And for instance, also some places you can have two very close together because you can then twist those two wires into a branch and then separate them further out. So we're going to do that on some of it. So just keep doing this all the way until you're happy with how the branches are going to sit, and of course flip it around and do the same on the other side as well. So now I've got the branches mainly in place here on both sides. Then I just want to show you where I'm going to connect two pieces of wire to create kind of a thicker branch. So down here, for instance, I have two in the same place, and all I do is continue twisting those two wires together, and I'm just doing it in the same direction as the rest of the twist there. And you just want to twist it as far as you want it to. And then somewhere around here, I'm just going to stop twisting and just let the two branches split out. So we have the one branch that's thicker, and then it splits out into two thinner ones. And I'm just going to do that in a couple of places. So now we're getting to the point where we need to start to bring all of this together and also capture the cabochon. So I've got all my branches in place on both sides. So what I'm going to do is hold the cabochon in place the best you can, in the position down against the roots there, and then I'm going to start from the bottom again, just on one side at a time. I'm going to grab the very bottom wire on this side, and also on the back we need to grab the very bottom one. So just get those two into position, make sure we grab the right ones, and then on the side here we're going to grab those two wires and basically start twisting them together just like we were twisting two together to make a branch. Twist them right where they start to meet up on the side of the cabochon. Twist them together a few times so they stay in place, something a bit like that. And then I like to straight away move on to the other side of the tree and also get the bottom one there, so it makes everything a little bit less fiddly to hold on to. So I have the bottom one on the front. I need to make sure I get the bottom one on the back. So I have that singled out. And then it's just the same principle here. Grab the two wires and start to twist them together where they meet up on this side of the cabochon, and that will then also fasten those branches in place. So just do a few twists like that, and we've now started connecting everything together, and it's also already a little bit less fiddly because obviously the side ones now hold onto the cabochon as well. So from here I'm literally going to continue on one side at a time, working my way upwards gradually. So I'm just going to go back to the right, doesn't matter where you start, and then the next wire here we need to bring into the twist as well. So I'm actually going to start pushing this twist up against the side of the cabochon because we need to work our way upwards towards the top of the stone. So I'm bringing the wire into the twist in the same direction so I can keep twisting it in the same direction as the whole time. I just want to check the wire on the back as well. And I'm also going to be bringing that into the twist. So I now have 4 wires here that I'm literally just twisting together. And as I'm doing it, I'm working my way up the side of the stone, so you can see there. Then I'm going to go back to the other side, and then the twist that we made here, I also just want to start bringing it upwards next to the stone, and then start to bring in the next few wires. So the next one from the front, bring that into position, and then let's just check the back. And the next one here, I'm also going to start to bring into the twist. Then grab all those wires, and again make sure we twist them together nice and tight towards the side of the cabochon there. And you just twist a little bit at a time, so we'll gradually make our way upwards. And then we can obviously continue to add in the next few wires as we go up. And you don't need to worry yet about how your branches or roots are looking because it's all going to probably be pretty messy. We're going to go back and fix that once we've connected everything together. So just keep going like this, working our way towards the top until we have both twists meeting up at the top of the stone there. And there you can see we've gathered all the wires all the way along to the top, and we have a tree on both sides, and the cabochon is in there pretty securely now. Next, what I want to do is start attaching the wires at the top together. So the two groups of wires that we've been twisting, all I'm going to do is literally start twisting them together completely. So all the wires into one twist. And now we need to make the bail, but what I also like to do is start to actually kind of weed these wires out a bit. So get rid of a few here and there, so we're thinning the group down, so we have a bit less wires to deal with. And the way I like to do that is, now we start twisting them all together. As I'm twisting it, I'm just going to kind of untwist it a little bit here and there, but not all the way down, just to the point where I kind of open it up and get to the middle of the wires. And then I'm going to grab my flush cutters and I'm just going to start cutting off a couple of wires here and there in the middle of everything. So I'm going to cut this one here, And then I can just grab another one as well, because we obviously also need to think about, we need to finish off all the wires at the end, and the less we have to finish off, the easier that will be. And then just do another twist or so, and then we can just open it up again and cut off another couple of wires. And I'm just making sure to do it in the middle so they're not sticking out of the side and obviously be able to catch or scratch on anything. So they basically get hidden inside the middle of the twist, and then twist a bit more. And basically we just need to do this for a bit until we have a length that's long enough to make a bail with. So now I have a decent twist here, and what we're then going to do is start to make the bail. So I'm going to take my Tweezernose, and we first of all want to just put a bend into this so I have the front facing me, and I'm going to then place my pliers a little bit above where the twist starts, and then bend all the twisted wires there backwards so they come towards the back of the stone. Then I'm going to grab my 6-step bell making pliers. You can use round nose pliers, and I'm just using the second smallest step. Obviously that will depend on the size bail that you want. Place that on the bend, then bring all the twisted wires back over the top all the way around to create a full circle. So something like that. So that's going to be the bail itself. And then we just need to secure this in place. So basically what we're doing is a wrapped loop. So I'm just going to put my pliers back in, and then the remaining I've got left on the wrap here. Obviously if it's not long enough, you can always just twist some more. You want to bring it around underneath the loop, and then basically filling in the space that we left between where the twist starts and where the loop starts. And just bring it around a few times, and there, as you can see, I'm starting to run out of my twist, so I'm just going to twist a little bit more. And again, I'm then also just going to take the chance to get rid of a few more wires. So untwist it a bit, cut off a couple of wires, and then retwist it, and then I'm just going to wrap it around below the loop there again, because obviously we need to see how much we need to twist as well. And now that I'm all the way back around again, I've also run out of space to do any more wraps below the loop, so it's just time to finish off the rest. And now because we got rid of so many wires, there's less ends here that we need to deal with when we cut them off. So what I'm going to do is right where the twisted wire starts to come around towards the back, you can find kind of a little gap in there where we can tuck them in. So I'm just going to cut off the excess. So these ends that we're going to have left, that you can then see right there, they're going to fit into that little gap and kind of get tucked away, and then just push them into place and make sure that none of the ends are sticking out, and if you put your finger over them, you can't feel them in any way. And that is basically the bail done and secure. All that's left to do now is refine the trees here, so that's going to give them a bit more life, and I personally just like to start by the roots. So we did separate them out. You can always separate them more if they've kind of moved a little bit, kind of get them into position. And then I'm going to take my Tweezernose pliers here, and I just want to start putting, you could say, squiggles into everything. That's going to give it much more life and make it seem more like a tree. Then I'm just going to start one at a time. I'm grabbing onto the length of wire and just basically twisting it gently, and then moving out a little bit, grabbing onto the same wire, twisting it in the opposite direction. And I just continue doing that until we reach the bottom there. Now, of course, turn around and do the same thing on the other side with the same wire. And this also helps tighten everything up and get it kind of more tight against the stone, so secure it more in place. And I'm literally going to go through all the wires and the roots here and do the exact same thing. And it's almost the messier it looks, the better. So you don't need to worry about anything being perfectly in place. Just get some life and movement into the wires here, and this is then what the roots have ended up looking like on both sides. Now what you can also do is the actual trunk itself, I also feel that needs to have a bit more life in it, so you don't want it too straight. So what I can do is literally just take my pliers again and just go in and also bend this a bit back and forth. You can also do this early in the process. And then the last thing to do is get some life into the branches as well, and we just want to do the exact same thing as we did with the roots. So grab your pliers and just start with one branch at a time. Put kind of a bend or a curve into there, move a bit further, and go the opposite direction. Basically just almost zigzagging, but don't be too neat about it. Kind of have it be a bit random if you can. Makes it a little bit more realistic, you could say, and gives it a bit more life. So like that. I've done the first branch on one side there, the one that splits, and just keep going like this all the way. And of course, don't forget, once you've done this side, flip it around and do the back as well. And then once you've finished off all the branches on the front and the back, you just need to add your chain and your findings, and then you have your cabochon finished and ready to wear. So I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial for how to make this double-sided tree of life design. Now if you end up making this yourself or anything from any of my tutorials, I would love to see them, so you can always tag me on social media. All of my links will be in the description box down below. And if you like tree of life designs, I do have several more tutorials on my channel that features the tree of life in different ways, so you can easily make multiple different pieces and turn them into a set. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.